At a high school reunion, 2 years after our breakup, my ex-girlfriend's best friend suddenly asked me, Shi-an, do you still like Jang Yu-yan? I just smiled and shook my head. Then, I showed off the ring on my finger and the family portrait on my lock screen. I told her I'd been married for a long time. Her friend sighed. Even her white moonlight begged me to see her one last time, saying that after I left, that once unattainable ice queen had completely lost her mind. Everyone said Jang Yu-yan was an untouchable flower that could never be warmed. It took 56 confessions to date her and 32 proposals before she finally agreed to marry me. Later, I did get married, but the bride wasn't her. Because right before our wedding, she went behind my back. She planned to have an IVF baby with her mentor's son to fulfill her mentor's dying wish for a grandson. So I kept a secret too. I swapped the bride. I changed Jang Yu-yan's contact name to X to B and saved the woman my family introduced as wife. The next day, Jang Yu-yan returned looking haggard. That's when I learned her mentor had passed away the night before she could even start the IVF process. At the memorial, she was busy taking care of Song Bae-chin. After I finished bowing to the memorial tablet, Song Bae-chin's mother helped me up. She looked at me and said, "You must be Yu-yan's boyfriend. Thank you for coming to see old Song. I heard you two were supposed to get married. She's such a loyal child." She offered to look after Bacon for 6 months in his place. It's been hard on you. I listened quietly without saying a word, never mentioning the ridiculous things she and her son planned to do. Song's mother saw the pain in my eyes and couldn't help but sigh deeply. We basically watched Yu-yan grow up. Old Song was her mentor from undergrad all the way to her PhD. She's a sentimental person, which is why she made this choice. Don't blame her. Since the bride had already been changed, I naturally wouldn't blame her. I told her I understood. Seeing my generous attitude, Song's mother felt the need to speak up. Don't mind Bae-chin, even though he clings to her all day. I can tell she doesn't feel that way about him. She really loves you. Hearing this, my body stiffened. Loved me? I certainly couldn't see it. Seeing my skepticism, Song's mother went on. Child, I'm not lying to you. Old Song and I used to think she was so buried in medical research that she'd never love anyone. Until you showed up. She didn't show it much. But she was always accidentally mentioning you. She'd talk about where she randomly ran into you yesterday, or what delicious food you made for her, or what stupid thing you did to chase her today. Even if she sounded annoyed, we knew. She just loved you without even realizing it herself. Song's mother kept talking. She spoke of an affection Jang Yu-yan never showed in front of me. But to me, these words were just an insult. Maybe the old me would have been happy to hear this. But now it just felt pathetic. If Jang Yu-yan really loved me, why didn't I feel a single bit of it? Why was it always me chasing her while she never once stopped to wait for me? If she loved me, how could she agree to have a child with another man? The moment she agreed to have Song Bae-chin's child, everything was ruined. It was over between us. During the entire memorial, Jang Yu-yan stayed by Song Bae-chin's side. It wasn't until the service ended and rain started to fall that the guests began to leave. She finally pulled up in her car and dropped 2 cold words. Get in. As I moved toward the car, the window rolled down. That's when I saw Song Bae-chin in the passenger seat and Song's mother in the back. Before I could say anything, Song Bae-chin's voice rang out, Yu-yan, I want to visit the cemetery to see my dad. Just the 3 of us, you, me, and my mom, okay? Song's mother frowned first. Bae-chin, don't be like that. But those few words somehow triggered Song Bae-chin. He started shouting, today is my dad's funeral. Can't he just call a taxi himself? As Song's mother tried to argue, Jang Yu-yan had already made her choice. She turned to me, her voice final. I'll come back to pick you up later. With that, she hit the gas and sped away, leaving me standing there alone. From the moment Song Bae-chin opened his mouth, I had already predicted the ending. I didn't feel sad about being abandoned anymore. I just stood there for hours. But she never came. As the rain got heavier, I knew she wasn't coming back. The funeral home was in a remote area with no taxis nearby. Without an umbrella, I had to walk out into the storm. The rain blurred my vision. I soaked in the downpour for 2 hours before I finally found a ride home. That night, I came down with a high fever. Jang Yu-yan still wasn't home. I was so delirious and weak that I didn't even have the strength to call for help. I forced myself to crawl up and swallowed some fever meds with a little water. The medicine didn't work immediately. I lay back in bed, burning up and miserable. Eventually, I drifted into a heavy, hazy sleep. A whole day and night passed before my fever broke and I finally heard the door open. Jang Yu-yan walked in without looking at me, never mentioning how she left me stranded. She just packed her bags in silence until everything was ready. Then, she spared me a single glance as if it were a favor. Bae-chin is in a bad state. I'll stay with him for a few days. Call me if you need anything. I watched her rush out the door. I laughed at myself. Would calling even matter? I stood right in front of her, looking like a ghost, and she didn't even notice I was sick. Could I really expect her to leave Song Bae-chin for me? Over the next few days, Jang Yu-yan didn't return or call. But I knew exactly what she was up to, thanks to Song Baechin, who loved sharing his life on social media. Every day, I saw their updates on his feed, like her cooking porridge for him, or them going out to see fireworks. I didn't care much about what they were doing. Once I recovered, I went to the office to resign. My colleagues were shocked. Shi'an, why are you leaving so suddenly? Did something happen? I just shook my head. After all these years away, it's time for me to go home. This explanation only confused them more. Finally, someone couldn't help but ask, what about Dr. Jiang? Her home is here. If you go back to your city, won't it be long distance? I paused. See, even my friends knew how much I loved Jiang Yuyan. Loved her enough to give up everything to settle in this strange city. Loved her so much that everyone assumed I would be the only one making sacrifices while she just took it for granted. She treated my devotion as her right and then gave all her patience and tenderness to another man. I smiled and shook my head. It's not long distance. We just won't be seeing each other again. After finishing the handover, I packed up all my belongings. I carried my boxes home, and the moment I walked in, I saw Jiang Yuyan and Song Beichen sitting in the living room. Seeing me with the boxes, she was stunned. She instinctively asked, Xi'an, what's all this? I lied effortlessly. The company is moving offices, so I brought my stuff back first. Jiang Yuyan frowned. Moving where? Before I could answer, Song Beichen interrupted. Xi'an, my dad just passed away, and I've been in a terrible headspace. I've done a lot of things wrong, even suggesting having a baby with Yuyan. Thinking back, it was pretty ridiculous, but nothing actually happened between us. Now that my dad is gone, I don't need to do that anymore. I'm sorry, please don't take it to heart. He put on a pitiful act, if I hadn't seen that provocative screenshot he sent me earlier. I might have actually believed him, but now I didn't even have the energy to expose his game. I just gave a faint nod and took my boxes to my room. I had just set my things down when I heard my phone ring. The sound was coming from the living room. I realized I'd left it out there. Just as I was about to go get it, the door was shoved open. Jiang Yuyan walked in with a dark expression, holding my phone in one hand while glaring at me. Who is this wife in your phone? This was the first time I had ever seen Jiang Yuyan look like this. For all these years, she had always been the calm and indifferent one. I thought she was incapable of being jealous. I remember when I was first chasing her, someone told me that you have to play hard to get. They said clinging to her every day would just make her get used to me without valuing me. They said eventually she'd get bored, so I tried playing hard to get on purpose. I didn't look for her for days and hung out with other girls in front of her to see if she'd get jealous. But back then, seeing me with someone else, her expression remained as calm as ever. She just walked past me like usual, not even sparing me a side glance. That's when I realized playing hard to get might work on others, but it never worked on Jiang Yuyan. After that, we went back to our original dynamic. She walked in front and I chased from behind. 6 years passed in the blink of an eye. Now I finally saw her looking jealous. But it was too late. I reached for my phone to explain, but Song Beichen's voice came from behind her. It's probably one of his bros. Guys often save their bros as wife as a joke. Since Song Beichen provided an excuse, I didn't bother correcting it. I stayed silent. Is she silent? I just took my phone back to the room and hit redial. Su Ranran had called suddenly. I thought it was something important, but she just started asking trivial things. Have you eaten yet? It's been raining in Nanchang lately. How's the weather in Haicheng? I heard it's getting cold. Remember to stay warm. Don't get sick. At first, I answered patiently, waiting for her to get to the point. But she just kept rambling. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Do you actually need something? If not, I'm hanging up. Only then did she stop the small talk. I just wanted to ask if you regret it. Are you really swapping the bride? I felt helpless. You dodged the question that long just to ask this? Su Ranran gave a serious her voice laced with a hint of hidden grievance. Didn't you like that girlfriend of yours a lot? I wanted to ask how she knew, but then I thought about it. From the first moment I saw Jiang Yuyan in college, to my relentless daily pursuit, to the joy of finally winning her over, to the decision to call off the wedding, over the years, my social media had revolved around Jiang Yuyan. I had made my love for her public, wanting the whole world to know. I love Jiang Yuyan so much. Under these circumstances, it was hard for them not to find out. I shook my head self-deprecatingly. I don't like her anymore. After a pause, I gave her another reassurance. Don't worry. I said I'd swap the bride and marry you. So I won't regret it because of her again. The call finally ended. When I finished packing and went out, Song Beichen hadn't left yet. He was in the living room chatting with Jiang Yuyan about something. Seeing me come out, his expression turned a bit sour. After hesitating for a long while, he finally brought up that contact name. Finished talking to your bro? You really shouldn't give a friend a nickname like that. I shot him a surprised look, not expecting him to still be hung up on that. I nodded as an answer. No one knew if I was responding to the first question, the last sentence, or both. Jiang Yuyan assumed I had agreed, and her expression softened slightly. Song Baechin took in this entire series of emotional shifts. In an instant, his face became quite a sight. Song Baechin hadn't expected Jang Yuyan to still be possessive of me. After all, in his mind, she wasn't supposed to care about me at all. He smoothed over his emotions and spoke up. It's still early. Shi-an, Yuyan, let me treat you both to dinner and a movie. Consider it thanks for putting up with me during this time. Looking at his fake smile, I could guess exactly what Song Baechin was up to. He just wanted to show off in front of me. How good and gentle Jang Yuyan was to him. Thinking of this, I shook my head. First, I didn't want to play their childish jealousy games anymore. Second, my time to head home was approaching, and I had a mountain of things to handle. But how could Song Baechin let this chance slip away? Seeing me shake my head, he turned to Jang Yuyan. Yuyan, is Shi-an still mad at me? I know I did some ridiculous things recently. It's only right that he's angry. It's all my fault. As he spoke, his eyes actually started to redden. Seeing this, Jang Yuyan's heart ached for him. The next second, she shot me a disapproving look. I sighed. It looked like if I stubbornly refused to go, I'd be labeled the unforgiving villain again. After the back and forth, I was eventually dragged out the door. It happened to be dinner time, so the three of us went to a restaurant first. Song Baechin had chosen a seafood place. When we sat down in the private room, I gave Jang Yuyan a long look. She unnaturally avoided my gaze. When she looked at Song Baechin ordering food, her eyes unconsciously filled with doting warmth again. Of course, Jang Yuyan felt guilty. After all, she knew perfectly well that I was allergic to seafood. Yet just because Song Baechin said the seafood here was amazing, she brought me along to this restaurant anyway. Once the dishes arrived, unlike me, who only had a glass of plain water, Song Baechin was busy eating seafood that Jang Yuyan had personally peeled for him. He looked up at me, seeing me only drinking water, and looked confused. Sha'an, this seafood is really good. Are you sure you won't try some? A mocking smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Just as I was about to speak, Jang Yuyan changed the subject, pushing the previous topic to the back of her mind. After dinner, Song Baechin dragged us to the cinema. After browsing, he chose a horror flick. It wasn't until we entered the theater that I understood his intent. I sat on the far end seat, listening to Song Baechin constantly gasping next to me. One moment, he accidentally grabbed Jang Yuyan's coat because he was nervous. The next, he was grabbing her hand tightly, terrified by a sudden jump scare. Song Baechin's move startled Jang Yuyan, and she instinctively frowned. But after a moment's hesitation, she thought of her mentor and let him keep holding on. She tilted her head and saw me looking straight in their direction. I had clearly seen everything, yet my eyes remained completely unfazed. She rarely called me Shi-an so affectionately. Just as she was about to explain, I had already turned my head back to the screen. The explanation got stuck in her throat. Jang Yuyan only felt an immense discomfort in her heart. But a small gasp from the person beside her forced her to suppress that feeling and softly comfort Song Baechin. Beside them, I let out a light chuckle after hearing her soothing voice. Thinking about going home and never coming back to this city, I planned to say goodbye to a few close friends first. So I sent a message to our group chat. Let's meet up. I have something to tell you guys. Kin Hao, the one I kept in touch with most, was the first to reply. There's a reunion in a few days. Let's do it then. This suggestion was unanimously approved. On the day of the reunion, I left early. When I arrived at the reserved room, the others were already there. Seeing me walk in, they asked curiously, Shi-an, you said you had something to tell us? What is it? I told them calmly, I'm going home to get married in a couple of days. I don't know if we'll see each other again. You're all welcome to come to my wedding. As soon as I said this, they recalled the social media post I made a while back. Chin Hao blurted out, Shi-an, were you serious last time? Are you really breaking up with Jang Yuyan? To go home and marry someone else? Does Jang Yuyan know about this? Just as he finished, the door swung open again. Jang Yuyan's voice followed immediately. I know what? Seeing Jang Yuyan's sudden arrival, the group looked at each other awkwardly. Finally, Chin Hao laughed it off and changed the subject. Who let the great genius Jang in? Did you draw a lot? Seeing her confused frown, he explained with a smile, Liu Juan is learning divination lately. Everyone has to draw a card and let her use them as a guinea pig. Liu Juan, being mentioned, walked up to us with a deck of cards. Excitement shone in her eyes. Quick, quick, everyone take one. I casually drew a card. Seeing me take one, Jang Yuyan agreed to play along too. Qin Hao, who brought up the divination, joined in the hype. Hurry, let's see what our diviner Liu says. What kind of lots did you draw? It's okay if it's not accurate. I was a bit curious too. The card flipped over. The words on it came clearly into view. Expectations will end in disappointment. Desiring nothing will result in a full harvest. Looking at this sentence, my expression turned solemn. It wasn't wrong. I handed the card back to Liu Juan. After seeing the words, Liu Juan gave my shoulder a comforting pat. The first half doesn't look great, but doesn't the second half mean there will be a pleasant surprise? Take it easy, don't overthink it. I nodded. I watched Jang Yuyan draw a card from the pile. The card flipped, but the words on it made her freeze. The few people who saw it went silent. Curious, someone grabbed the card from her. After one glance, they stuffed it back to Liu Juan. Diviner Liu, it seems your skills aren't quite there yet. Everyone knows Shi An and Zhang Yuyan are rock solid. How could she lose her love forever? Those words made my close friends look incredibly awkward. How could she not lose her love forever? I already planned to leave the city and Zhang Yuyan to marry someone else. But since many there didn't know the truth, voices calling Liu Chuan's cards inaccurate rose up. Amidst the noise, no one noticed our reactions. Just then, a phone rang, sounding faint in the loud room. But Zhang Yuyan heard it immediately and picked up. I don't know what was said on the other end, but her expression changed drastically. She turned her gaze toward me. Sha'an, come to the hospital with me. I didn't understand why she needed me at a hospital. But seeing her grave expression, I didn't ask questions. I followed Zhang Yuyan as she hurried out of the room. The car sped toward the hospital while her face remained solemn. I still didn't ask for details. I just followed her as we rushed out of the gathering. The car raced all the way to the hospital. Upon arriving, she didn't say a word and led me straight to the rooftop. As soon as we stepped out, I saw a man holding a dagger, leaning against the railing. He was holding a terrified Song Beichin hostage. When he saw Zhang Yuyan appear, hope instantly flared in his eyes. Yuyan, save me! Before I could grasp what was happening, I was shoved forward by a strong force. A familiar voice rang out behind me. Look closely, this is my actual boyfriend. Let the person you're holding go. He's innocent and means nothing to me. Even if you kill him, it won't matter. Only by taking my boyfriend hostage will you get what you want. After hearing Zhang Yuyan's words, I finally understood. She rushed me here just to use me as a trade for Song Beichin's safety. Combined with the whispers of the onlookers, I pieced together the whole story. Someone was making a scene. They had probably been stalking us for days. Seeing Zhang Yuyan with Song Beichin every day, they assumed Song Beichin was her boyfriend and took him hostage. I felt as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over me. I was cold to the bone. Behind me, Zhang Yuyan was still pushing me forward without a care. How pathetic. My girlfriend spent every day with another man, and when trouble hit, she pushed me out without hesitation to clear the path for her mentor's son. The man looked at Song Beichin, then at me. Maybe because he'd seen me while stalking, he started to believe her. His grip on the knife loosened slightly. He scanned the area warily, getting ready to let me step forward to swap hostages. But the moment he let go, suddenly, a group of police officers rushed out from all sides. Someone kicked the knife out of his hand with lightning speed, while others pulled Song Beichin away. The moment Song Beichin was out of danger, Zhang Yuyan rushed straight to him. Beichin, are you okay? Song Beichin hugged her, trembling. Yuyan, I was scared to death. Only after confirming he was fine did Zhang Yuyan remember she had just pushed me out. She looked at me as an afterthought and asked, are you okay? But when I looked at her, my eyes were like a stagnant pool of dead water. Zhang Yuyan wasn't the type to explain. Most of the time, she didn't care about anything. But seeing me like this, her heart trembled slightly. She found herself feeling a rare sense of losing control. Shai-an, there were people positioned nearby already. The police were going to move as soon as you distracted the thug. It was just a tactic. She spoke logically, and I didn't argue. Right, just a tactic. I was fine anyway. But what if? As my girlfriend, how could she be so comfortable gambling with my life to save someone else? At this moment, looking at her was like looking at a total stranger. Shi-an, look. This is the woman you gave up everything for, to settle in this strange city. Do you regret it? I think I do. Luckily, there's still time to fix it. After that day, Zhang Yuyan said Song Beichin was traumatized from being taken hostage because of her. She couldn't just leave him, so she stayed by his side constantly. She completely forgot that on that day, I was the one she pushed toward a criminal. Fortunately, I had already decided to give up on this hopeless relationship. I wouldn't cry for her anymore. I slowly started to clear out everything. I removed every trace of Zhang Yuyan from my home. I finally picked up the wedding photos we took before, only to take every single one out of their frames. Then, one by one, I tossed them all into the fire. I watched the flames consume those memories until they were nothing but ash. Only then did I turn my attention to the other things in the room. Back then, I bought countless couple items to try and close the distance between me and Zhang Yuyan. From the toothbrushes and cups standing side by side on the vanity, to the matching towels with cute patterns, to the couple outfits hanging together in the closet and the matching rings in the jewelry box. I gathered all of these things and packed them into cardboard boxes. Then I threw them all out. From now on, I have no need for these things. After clearing out the junk, I started packing my luggage. I once fully intended to make this place my second home, wishing every corner of this house bore my mark. I wanted Zhang Yuyan to see those things and instinctively think of me. I thought that over time, she would finally accept me, love me, and be unable to leave me. But even now, that goal remains unfulfilled. There was a lot to pack, and my pace slowed down. Jang Yuyan wasn't back yet when I finished packing that evening. When she pushed the door open, she saw clothes scattered all over the bed. I was startled by her sudden entrance. Just as I was thinking of how to explain the mess, she took the initiative to ask, "What's this? Are you going on a business trip?" I paused, turned my back to her, and continued organizing my things. Away from her gaze, a mocking smile touched my lips. I've already resigned, yet she thinks I'm going on a business trip. It seems she never once considered the possibility of me leaving her. But that's fine. Anyway, I didn't want to say much to her. I just gave a brief, mm-hmm. Seeing me nod, Jang Yuyan didn't overthink it. She casually asked, "When are you leaving?" I thought about it and decided not to hide this part. Tomorrow morning. Jang Yuyan didn't say anything else. She turned, left the bedroom, and started cooking. She's a great cook, but because she's always busy with work, she rarely steps into the kitchen. Opportunities to eat her food were few and far between. Lately, she had been cooking more often, but every single meal ended up in Song Bei-chen's stomach. After dinner, Jang Yuyan pulled out a gift box from behind her and handed it to me. Looking at the gift box pushed toward me, I glanced at her with a hint of surprise. She rarely took the initiative like this. I didn't take the box and asked directly, "Is there something you need?" Jang Yuyan hesitated, remembering my expression when I left before, and finally apologized. "I'm sorry about what happened last time." I gave a faint, mm-hmm. My reaction was so flat that even Jang Yuyan looked surprised. But thinking about what she wanted to say next, she didn't care too much and continued. "Bei-chen has been in a very bad mood lately. I took some time off to spend the next few days with him." As she spoke, she watched for my reaction. My expression remained calm, showing none of the jealousy I usually had whenever I heard she was going to see Song Bei-chen. Sitting across from her, I felt nothing but peace. I just said coolly, "Go ahead." Seeing me drop those two words and say nothing else, Jang Yuyan actually stood up and hugged me. Bei-chen is my mentor's son. He's been in a bad state since his father passed. He was shaken up again this time. It'll be fine once I help him get through this period. I'll make it up to you later, okay? I didn't agree or disagree. It'll be fine once I help him get through this period. I'll make it up to you later, okay? I didn't agree or refuse. How could there be a later for us? Early the next morning, seeing my luggage by the door, Jang Yuyan brought back breakfast and said, "I'll drive you later." I didn't say a word. I sat at the table and ate my breakfast in silence. Just as we were about to leave, she suddenly looked down at her phone. Then came the words I expected. "Sha-an, something came up. I can't see you off." I didn't even have to think about it. I knew the person looking for her must be Song Bei-chen. I just nodded. "Go do what you need to do." Seeing me agree so easily, Jang Yuyan left without any hesitation. Just as she was walking out, she turned back to me. "Tell me which day you're coming back. I'll pick you up then." With that, she didn't look back again. I watched her silhouette fade away and whispered, "Jang Yuyan, yo." "I'm not coming back." I took one last look around. At the house I had lived in for 6 whole years. Finally, I left a note on the table. "Jang Yuyan, let's break up. I'm going home to get married." After doing all that, I pushed my suitcase to the door, took a taxi to the airport, and left. From now on, I will no longer be a part of Jang Yuyan's life. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jang Yuyan was driving fast down the street, but her heart felt inexplicably uneasy. After a few hours of travel, the plane finally landed in Nanchang. I pushed my suitcase out and looked up to see Su Ranran waiting in the hall. She wore a white dress, and every gesture exuded elegance and intellect. I was stunned by her beauty. The childish childhood friend who used to follow me around and bicker with me had turned into this. The slender woman stood before me. She had truly transformed. Stopping in front of me, she teased with a smile, "Staring already? Once we get our marriage certificate, you can stare as long as you want." Realizing I was spacing out, my ears turned red. I feigned calm and rolled my eyes at her. "It's been so long. And you're still so narcissistic." She naturally took my arm and led me outside. I have the looks, so why wouldn't I be? I was speechless. Looking at her radiant face, I couldn't find a comeback. She really was beautiful. She had been the it girl at school since we were kids. Top grades and gorgeous looks, she was every boy's favorite mature beauty type back then. She looked like a pro in the dating world, but she was actually incredibly innocent. Whenever a boy confessed to her, she'd reject them righteously. We're students. The most important task right now is to study hard. How can you think about this nonsense? After high school graduation, our paths diverged. Although I didn't follow her news closely, I heard she had never been in a relationship. Thinking of this, I suddenly looked at her and asked, "Back then, everyone thought I was joking. Why did you agree to such an absurd request?" We had just gotten into the car when I asked. She turned to me and raised an eyebrow. "I thought you already knew." I was completely lost. I frowned. What should I know? Seeing my clueless face, Su Ranran turned her gaze back and didn't give a straight answer. The car slowly pulled out of the parking lot. Just as I thought she wouldn't answer, she suddenly spoke. It's not the first time you've done something so reckless. She suddenly spoke. It's not the first time you've done something so absurd. Why wouldn't I believe you? After a pause, she turned to me with a smile. Besides, if it's real, I just hit the jackpot. Her first sentence made me freeze. Not the first time? My mind started racing. The moment our eyes met, it was like a light bulb went off. Su Ranran was talking about when I stayed in Haicheng for Zhang Yuyan. I finally realized what was happening and asked awkwardly, "You don't actually like me, do you?" She laughed. "Yeah, I've liked you for a very, very long time. Even longer than you've liked that Zhang Yuyan. Back then, I thought if I could just get your attention, you'd understand my feelings. Who knew you were such a blockhead? Not only did you run off so far, but you also stayed there for a woman who didn't cherish you. But luckily, I had enough patience to wait for you to come back to me." Su Ranran kept her final monologue to herself, but those words were enough to leave me stunned. I didn't snap out of it until the car stopped in the apartment complex parking lot. I asked blankly, "When did it start?" This time she acted mysterious. She didn't answer directly. Guess. That familiar feeling washed over me again. I speechlessly opened the door and got out. Su Ranran followed closely by my side. Our families lived very close to each other, so the way home was the same. In the elevator, we were both silent. With a ding, the elevator doors opened. Su Ranran walked me to my front door. She stood on her tiptoes and ruffled my hair. Then, before I could get annoyed, she turned and started walking back. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind me, "I'll bring my parents over in a couple of days to discuss our wedding." "Xian, you need to. Get ready too." I shot her a look, pulled out my keys, and opened the door without replying. Su Ranran didn't mind at all. She walked toward the stairs in high spirits. It was only one floor apart. She was so happy she could probably climb 20 floors without breaking a sweat. I pulled my suitcase inside. I hadn't been home for 6 whole years. At this moment, I felt a touch of home field nostalgia. There was no one in the living room, only the sound of my suitcase wheels rolling on the floor. Hearing the noise from outside, my white-haired grandfather thought a thief had broken in. He rushed out with his cane, his voice booming. "What little thief dares to break into my G family's—" He didn't even finish his sentence before he saw me standing in the living room with tears in my eyes. "Sha'an!" The cane hit the floor with a thud. Grandpa didn't care about it. His eyes instantly reddened, but he turned and walked back into the room. I dropped my suitcase and chased after him. Just as he was about to lie back down on the bed, I gave him a big hug. "Grandpa, I missed you so much." Grandpa wasn't having it. "Brat, when you left, you said you were just going to school. You said you'd come back to see me during breaks, but I waited for 6 years." He knew I'd be back recently, just not the exact time. So he was only slightly surprised at first. But the news that I was coming back had been told to him by Su Ranran. This brat hadn't even given him a single phone call. He thought I had long forgotten about this old man. Missed me? Thinking this, Grandpa huffed and still didn't turn around. "What do you mean you missed me? You didn't come home for 6 years, leaving me, a lonely old man, all by myself. If it weren't for that Sue girl constantly checking in, I probably wouldn't even know how I died. Left me all alone and never asked once. If it weren't for Ranran, I wouldn't even know if I'm alive or dead." His voice was full of resentment. I quickly covered his mouth and shushed him. My eyes were full of disapproval. "Grandpa, you'll live 100 years. Don't say such gloomy things." But hearing what he said before, my heart was filled with guilt. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. It's my fault. I'm not leaving anymore. I'll stay with you forever, okay?" As soon as I said that, Grandpa quickly shook his head. "Pfft, pfft. Don't talk such nonsense. I'm still waiting for you to marry and have kids. Only after I see you happy. Can I close my eyes in peace when the day comes for me to join your grandmother and parents?" Hearing Grandpa talk like this made me feel even worse. "I told you, Grandpa, no more gloomy talk." I knew he'd leave me one day, but I still wanted that day to come late. Very late. After some small talk, the atmosphere finally lightened up. Grandpa looked at me with emotion. "You've grown up, you're thinner, and you've changed." My heart finally settled. No matter how much I change, I'll always be your grandson. Grandpa laughed, then looked worried about my marriage. "Didn't you say you were getting married? Why are you back so suddenly?" I shook my head, not wanting to get into it. "We weren't right for each other, so the wedding's off." Seeing Grandpa start to fret again, I remembered what Su Ranran said before she left. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to tell him the truth. Su Ranran said she'll bring her parents over in a couple of days to discuss a wedding. Grandpa's eyes widened. It took a few seconds for what I said to actually sink in. Then he burst out laughing. "That girl has waited for years. I guess it finally paid off." "What else? Did she say?" He laughed again. "That girl waited so long, and it finally happened." Back in Haicheng, it was 3 nights later when Zhang Yuyan finally returned home. She pushed the door open to pitch-black darkness. She instinctively called out my name. Minutes passed, but his house remained silent. After turning on the light, she saw the room was exactly as she left it. Then she remembered I was on a business trip. As Zhang Yuyan walked into the living room, she pulled out her phone to find our chat. She immediately saw the long history of messages I used to spam her with. Her replies were rare, mostly, understood, or okay. Sometimes she didn't reply at all. But I had been tireless, sending her updates every single day. But looking closer at the timestamps, the last message I sent her was actually over 2 weeks ago. I hadn't contacted her in that long, an uneasy feeling washed over her. For the first time, she lowered herself to message me first. Are you done with work? When are you coming back? The message was sent, but there was no reply. Feeling anxious, she checked the time. It was already 11 p.m. She let out a sigh of relief. She figured it was just late, so I probably hadn't seen it. Thinking this, she put her phone down. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted a note on the table. Curious, she picked it up. There were very few words, but each one felt like a sledgehammer slamming into her heart. Zhang Yuyan, let's break up. I'm going home to get married. She stared at it as if she'd forgotten how to read, flipping the paper over countless times. She searched for another sentence like, ha ha, scared you? Just kidding. If it were a joke, she would have definitely scolded me. Scared you? Just kidding. She'd scolded me for making such a tasteless joke about breaking up and getting married. But no matter how many times she read it, the words didn't change. It seemed I was serious. Zhang Yuyan's eyes instantly turned red. With trembling hands, she took a photo of the note and sent it to me. Just as she was about to demand an explanation, a large red exclamation mark appeared next to the photo. Her mind went blank. It took a while to realize I had blocked her. Dazed, her hands moved instinctively as she pulled up my number and dialed. After a few rings, a robotic female voice informed her that the call could not be completed. She froze. Had I just hung up on her? An unnameable rage flared up inside her. But when she tried again, it wouldn't go through at all. I had blacklisted her number. Zhang Yuyan didn't understand. She had only spent a year looking after Song Beichen. Was I really that petty? She had already explained. Song Beichen was her mentor's son, and he'd been an emotional wreck since his father died. What was I even angry about? Besides, hadn't I agreed to let her accompany him this time? Why was I throwing a tantrum? Even now, she still thought I was just acting out. After all, I loved her so much that I moved to a strange city for her. How could I suddenly give up and leave to marry someone else? She never realized I didn't leave suddenly. It's just that this was the moment she finally noticed. Unable to reach me, she started asking around in our class group chat. Anyone seen Shi An? But since it was so late, no one replied. She slumped back into the bedroom. When she went to wash up, she realized all the his and hers items were gone. Only one of everything remained. She opened the closet. The couple outfits I had happily gifted her, the ones she never wore and kept hidden at the bottom, were all gone too. She lay on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling, her thoughts a tangled mess. She stayed awake all night, checking her phone every few minutes for a reply. At noon the next day, someone finally replied. It was Qin Hao. Zhang Yuyan excitedly opened the message only to see a photo. The moment she saw it, she felt like she'd been struck by lightning. It was a wedding photo. In it, a man in a suit looking lovingly at his bride. That man was me. Beside me, the bride leaned into my chest, holding my arm and looking back at me with eyes full of tenderness. It wasn't her. She stared at the photo, her mind a complete void. Then, another message popped up. Are you looking for Shi An? He went back to his hometown to get married. I heard the wedding is next week. Don't the bride and Shi An look perfect together? The wedding is next week? The wave of news left Zhang Yuyan reeling. She didn't believe I'd just married someone else, especially since I'd just gone back. Even if I were getting married, the date couldn't be set that soon, right? This had to be fake. I was just trying to make her jealous, waiting for her to come coax me back. Thinking this, she felt a surge of hope and regained her composure. But after scrolling through her phone for a while, she hesitated and sent another message to Qin Hao. Do you know where Shi An is right now? Yang Yuyan wanted to come find me immediately. It had been 4 days since I left. She assumed I must be desperately waiting for her. But as she went to book a flight, she realized she had no idea where my hometown actually was. On the other end of the phone, Qin Hao scoffed when he saw her message. He finally understood why I had given up on her after all those years. Just as things were supposed to work out, I had chosen to walk away. They dated for 6 years, and I had sacrificed everything to stay in Haicheng for her. Yet she didn't even know where I was from. He'd heard that not long ago she had shoved me toward a criminal to save another man. So what if there were police nearby? That didn't change the fact that in her heart, Shi An was never the priority. He spat in disgust and his reply became blunt. Why ask? Planning to crash the wedding? Give it a rest. You didn't cherish him when he was there, so now just stay away from him. Zhang Yuyan frowned. Realizing she wouldn't get answers from him, she exited the chat. I received a call from her 3 days before the wedding. Since I had already blocked her number, I didn't think much of it when an unknown number showed up, but the next second, I regretted it. She-on, you finally picked up. I've been looking for you everywhere. Hearing her voice, I instantly regretted it. You finally answered. I've been searching for so long. Hearing Jang Yuyan, I didn't hesitate to hang up. But she seemed to predict my move and spoke quickly to stop me. Sha-on, don't hang up. I know I made you angry recently. Tell me where you are, okay? I'll come find you. She tried to make her voice sound gentle, hoping I'd believe she was actually coming to apologize. Until another voice came through the phone, one that sounded a bit pouted. Hubby, who are you talking to for so long? The word hubby hit Jang Yuyan like a thunderbolt. What shocked her more was that I didn't correct it. I just answered directly, no one important. For the first time, Jang Yuyan realized that words could truly kill. No one important. Those 3 short words made her ears ring. She couldn't hear anything we said after that. She didn't even know when the call ended. She suddenly remembered seeing my phone in the living room and that the contact wife had called. How did she push that aside? Oh, right. Song Baechin had interrupted her. Fury clouded her mind, but there was nothing she could do now. She didn't even need to check to know I had blocked this number too. She hadn't even agreed to the breakup. How could I just find someone else? Why was it that I decided when to love and when to quit? Jang Yuyan's eyes cleared, leaving only one thought. She wasn't giving up. She went to my old college class president and managed to get my home address. Just as she was about to leave, "Where's your address?" As she got ready to head out, her phone rang. The screen flashed with the name Song Baechin. After a moment's hesitation, she turned around and went to him instead. She thought she would finish things there quickly, and then come find me. She wouldn't let me marry someone else. But she never expected that this delay would last 3 days. By the time she handled Song Baechin's drama, it was already my wedding day. The timeline was tight, but I hadn't cut any corners. Everything needed for the wedding was perfectly prepared. On the big day, Su Ranran and I headed to the hotel early to change and get ready. Su Ranran left the guests to our parents. We messed around for a bit, and just before the ceremony started, I stepped out of the dressing room. That's when my phone rang. Seeing an unsaved number, my first thought was Jang Yuyan. I instinctively hung up, but the number called again right after. I thought for a second. Not every unknown number is her. There was no need to dodge every call because of one person. So I picked up. It was a stranger's voice. Hello, is this Mr. Ji Shi-an? I gave a quiet and waited for them to explain. Once they confirmed my identity, they got straight to the point. This is the ER at Nanchang Hospital. It's like this. Your girlfriend, Miss Jiang, was in a car accident due to speeding. She's in bad shape. Can you come to the hospital? I froze for a moment, taking a while to process the news. Jang Yuyan had come to Nanchang and crashed her car while speeding. Mr. Ji, are you still there? The nurse prompted when I didn't answer. I finally spoke, but my answer was a rejection. Sorry, we've already broken up. I'm getting married today and don't have time. Please try to contact someone else. With that, I hung up. I had a hunch she came to Nanchang because of me, but since we were over, her life had nothing to do with me. She had plenty of people to call. She didn't need me. Until the dial tone of the disconnected call came through, leaving the nurse in charge of contacting the family feeling quite awkward. Just then, the doctor came back to ask if the family had been reached yet. The nurse shook her head and continued making calls. By the time she finally reached Jang Yuyan's parents, an entire hour had already passed. Learning their daughter was in a car crash, the couple was devastated and immediately booked a flight to Nanchang. Once the family was contacted and consent was given, the doctor felt relieved and began preparing for surgery. On the other side, the wedding hall was packed with guests. Su Ranran, wearing a floor-length wedding dress, walked step by step toward me on the stage. Though he always said he hoped his grandson would marry soon, when the day actually arrived, Grandpa couldn't help but tear up. Why are you crying, Grandpa? This is a joyful day. Even as I said that, seeing Grandpa's red eyes made me start to tear up as well. I suppressed the bitterness rising in my heart and forced a smile at him. Besides, our new home isn't far. Even after I'm married, it's the same. I'll still come back often to visit you, right? Grandpa looked at our joined hands and spoke earnestly, Sha-an. Take good care of Ran from now on. You two must love and support each other for a lifetime. The vows, the rings, the kiss, under the blessings of all the guests, Su Ranran and I became a real married couple. Su Ranran smiled happily. Shi-an, I finally married you. Meanwhile, Song Baechin arrived at Nanchang Hospital that afternoon with the Jiang family parents. Looking at their daughter lying on the hospital bed, still unconscious, the couple could no longer hold back their grief. Their daughter was so brilliant. At such a young age, she had already become a deputy chief physician. How could they tell her when she woke up that she could never stand at an operating table again? But as hard as the truth was to face, it had to be faced eventually. Jang Yuyan didn't wake up until a week later. The moment she opened her eyes, Her parents and Song Baechin were there, but the one person she wanted to see most was missing. Mom? Dad? Have you seen Shi-an? Did he come to visit me? Hearing her question, Jiang's parents were unhappy. They held back their frustration for a moment, trying not to say it to her face. However, Song Baechin spoke up with a face full of spite. You've ended up like this for him, so why are you still thinking about him? He's been busy getting married and honeymooning these past few days, living his best life. Where would he find the time to see you? He never wanted Jang Yuyan to reconcile with me anyway, so now he was going all out to drive a wedge between us. He wanted Jang Yuyan to be disappointed in me, so naturally he wasn't going to hide anything. But he forgot she had just woken up and couldn't handle the shock. Before the parents could stop her, she saw the post I had made on her accident day on my social feed. She stared intensely at the phone screen, which showed the post from the day of her crash. She stared at the screen, which displayed a red marriage certificate with mine and Su Ranran's names. Her eyes turned red, unable to accept it. How can this be? Ji-an really registered and got married to someone else. He could really give up on their feelings so easily. Then what did their 6 years together even mean? She didn't understand and couldn't believe it. She forced herself to sit up, wanting to come find me, but this movement made her freeze completely. Jang Yuyan looked at the hideous, terrifying scar on her wrist. Her heart sank heavily. She looked at her right hand, which felt unnatural, and her legs, which felt nothing when she tried to get up. With trembling hands, she wanted to pull back the blanket, but her parents pinned it down firmly. But looking at her father's eyes full of sorrow and his head shaking, how could she not understand? She was a doctor herself. She hadn't actually lost consciousness the moment the crash happened. Jang Yuyan had seen her injuries. It's just that having just woken up, her memory was helping her avoid the truth. Her voice choked up. Mom, Dad, my legs and my hands are still fine, right? But they remained silent, still holding the blanket down, refusing to let her look. Her mother, being more emotional, began to let large tears fall. As they were at a standoff, Song Baechin finally noticed the vibe, hid his phone, and tried to comfort her. It's okay. Yuyan, you'll get better. I'll always be by your side. But it was better if he hadn't spoken. The moment he opened his mouth, all the rage pent up in Jang Yuyan's heart vented toward him. She shoved Song Baechin away. Caught off guard, he was sent tumbling backward. The back of Song Baechin's head hit a chair nearby. Caught off guard, he was sent tumbling backward. The back of Song Baechin's head hit a chair nearby as he fell hard to the floor, but he could no longer stir her sympathy. Jang Yuyan roared at him, If it wasn't for you, Sha'an would never have left me. If it wasn't for you, how would I have ended up in this state? Get out! Get out now! His heart bled at her roar, his face turning pale, but he stubbornly refused to leave. However, when Zhang's parents heard Jang Yuyan say those words, their expressions suddenly changed. What do you mean by that? Having been caught in her own words, Jang Yuyan froze. After a long time, she slumped back down in defeat. She slowly recounted everything that had happened during this period. After hearing the whole story and learning that their daughter had run off to have a baby with another man right before her wedding, the parents' expression shifted through several emotions before they shook their heads in disappointment. Yuyan, you've never given us anything to worry about since you were a kid. How could you do something so reckless and out of line at a time like this? Jang Yuyan didn't answer them. She only covered her face with her hands. The sound of her suppressed sobbing filled the room. She didn't know why she had done those things either. She just assumed I loved her and would absolutely never leave her. Looking at her daughter, the mother couldn't help but feel heartbroken again. She then started blaming me. Even if you were in the wrong, you ended up like this while trying to see Ji Sha'an. He's way too cold-hearted for this. Jang Yuyan wanted to argue, but the words got stuck in her throat. She couldn't help but think, yeah, I'm in this state. And Shi-an isn't even willing to come take a single look at me? Song Baechin saw her like this, took out a ring, and prepared for one last attempt. Yuyan, marry me. I'm willing to take care of you for the rest of your life. The sentence directly shocked me. I'm willing to marry you and take care of you forever. That one sentence shocked everyone present. Jang Yuyan's mind went blank, and she instinctively blurted out, I can't marry you. Jang Yuyan lay on the hospital bed with her eyes shut, ignoring her parents' pleas. The couple felt quite helpless. Why are you being so stubborn? Bacon likes you after all. Now that you're in this condition, someone has to take care of you. Do you really think Ji Sha'an is coming back? He's already registered and had a wedding with someone else. What are you still waiting for? It wasn't that she didn't understand her parents' logic, she was just unwilling to let go. Before, Jang Yuyan thought her feelings for me were mostly just a habit, but not until I left her to marry someone else. Did her bleeding heart tell her the truth? Yes, Jang Yuyan, you love Ji Sha'an. You can't live without him. But just as her father said, I had already registered and married someone else. Waiting any longer would be futile. She clenched her fist tightly. But she couldn't bring herself to say those words of agreement. How could she accept this fate? She was just one step away from marrying Shi-an. Why did things end up like this? I was unaware of Jang Yuyan's thoughts. After finishing a month-long honeymoon, Su Ranran and I returned to Nanchang. It was early September when we arrived back in Nanchang. A massive influx of students was pouring into every school. On the official first day of school, Su Ranran stood at the door and pointed at her cheek. I rolled my eyes but still left a kiss on her cheek. Only then did she beam with joy. I eventually pushed her out the door with a bit of play disdain. All right, get to school. I wonder if Nanda regretted hiring you as a professor. Su Ranran raised an eyebrow proudly. Regretted? Su Ranran raised an eyebrow proudly, not forgetting to praise herself. Nanda should be lucky to recruit such an excellent professor like me. I was a top graduate and now a top lecturer. I quickly cut him off. All right, we get it. You're OP. You need to head to school. Our grand professor shouldn't be the one who's late on the first day when even the students aren't. Pushed out the door, Su Ranran didn't mind. She turned and left looking very satisfied. A legend recently started circulating at Nanda. That famous smiling tiger got married and her mood had improved significantly. She walked around every day with a grin so wide it almost reached her ears. I only found out later when I went to Nanda to find her. Since she got married, she basically showed off her wedding ring every single day. At this time, I was still oblivious to all of this. While I was thinking about looking for a new job, there was a knock at the door. Feeling a bit confused, I got up to answer it. The courier confirmed the recipient and handed me a package. After signing for it, I went back inside. I opened it to find only a red invitation. I took it out and flipped it open. The first thing that caught my eye were the two names at the top, Jang Yuyan. So Song Baechin and her really ended up together after all. I just didn't know why they would send their wedding invitation to me. Was it to flex or to show me that she could find someone else even after I left? But what did that have to do with me? I didn't care who she was marrying now. I tossed the invitation aside, not giving it a second thought. I went back to minding my own business. It wasn't until Su Ranran came back that afternoon and saw the invitation dropped on the floor. She picked it up. She casually flipped it open, seeing the names, and raised an eyebrow. Strawberry, whose invitation is this? Your ex-girlfriend is a bit slow on the uptake, huh? I shrugged and took the invitation from her, ready to toss it in the trash. Don't mind them? Weird. She hid the invitation behind her back. A mischievous smile appeared on her face as she looked at me. Her voice was full of mock sincerity. Since they invited us so earnestly, let's go check it out. She also wanted to see why they'd send an invitation at a time like this. She wondered what Jang Yuyan was actually thinking. The wedding date was set for next month. The planning window was longer than it was for my wedding with Su Ranran. Yet, the final result was still lackluster. I never expected to return to Haicheng so soon. Coming here with Su Ranran, many people at the banquet recognized me. They knew about our past, so seeing me enter with another woman caused quite a stir. One of them watched as Su Ranran and I found a random place to sit. They couldn't help but marvel. I can't believe it. In just 3 or 4 months, the two we were sure would get married ended up marrying other people. The person next to me chuckled. Well, you can't say they didn't get married, right? The first speaker went quiet before laughing along. When I first heard Jishaan married someone else, I thought he'd had a change of heart. But looking at it now, he was probably just heartbroken. Another person joined the gossip. One sentence piqued the interest of the first two. What's the tea? Tell us. I heard Jang Yuyan's wedding was so rushed because she's pregnant with the guy's kid, already over 2 months along. What? 2 months? Counting back, that's right when she and Jishaan split, right? Who knows? Didn't Jishu unpost about a new bride back then? Maybe that's why they rushed this. The gossiping wasn't that loud, but because they weren't far away, I caught enough to hear the part about Jang Yuyan being pregnant. I let out a cold sneer. No wonder she dared to send me an invitation. It's because she's pregnant. Only 3 months had passed. It must have happened when they said they were going to do IVF. That time she lied to me about her mentor passing away. They clearly never stopped the IVF process. Su Ranran squeezed my hand. I turned to see her looking worried and a bit hurt. I smiled and shook my head, signaling her not to worry. I leaned down and kissed her on the cheek. Her eyes widened as she turned to look at me. I had already looked away, trying to hide my face. Only my red ears gave away that I wasn't as calm as I looked. Not far away, Jang Yuyan saw everything. Her heart a mess of emotions. Seeing us together now, she couldn't even lie to herself anymore. I didn't choose someone else just to spite her. I seemed to truly love this woman. I had accepted her existence and was even willing to show affection. It was different from when I was with her. I wasn't standing still waiting for her. We were moving toward each other. I had truly walked into a future without her. Yet she was still drowning in a past that included me. Song Baechin caught up to her. Following her gaze, he also saw Su Ranran and me. We were whispering to each other, and the space around us felt like it was filled with pink bubbles, a stark contrast to the cold distance between him and Jang Yuyan. Song Baechin suppressed his intense jealousy and resentment, forcing a smile. Yuyan, You're about to go on stage. Jealousy and hatred swirled inside him, but he forced a smile. Yu Yan. It's almost time for the ceremony. Go get ready. As he spoke, he reached out to push her a wheelchair, but her gaze lingered, refusing to look away. Jang Yuyan didn't know if this would be the last time she'd see me. She only knew that after today's wedding, there would be no more us. She looked down at her empty pant leg, and the hideous scar on her right hand. A tidal wave of grief swept over her heart. She missed me, but she didn't even have the courage to stop Song Baechin from pushing her away, or to come face me. She had become a total useless person. Even without this wedding, or if I hadn't married someone else, she doubted I'd still love a wreck like her. Feeling a gaze on me, I looked up and saw Song Baechin pushing Jang Yuyan away. I was stunned. I didn't expect her to be in a wheelchair. Was the previous car accident actually that severe? My suspicion was confirmed when the bride took the stage. Since her accident, I hadn't heard much news about her. Seeing her again, the phrase, "everything has changed," felt painfully accurate. I couldn't tell if she had other injuries, but even without a medical degree, I knew that she probably couldn't return to being a doctor like this. For a moment, I felt a trace of pity. In just 3 months, our lives had become worlds apart. On stage, Jang Yuyan looked gloomy. There was no wedding joy. She looked like someone had stolen millions from her. When she first learned Jang Yuyan was pregnant, Song Baechin's mother was shocked and instinctively wanted her to abort. Even though Jang Yuyan and I had broken up by then, Song's mother could see that Jang Yuyan and I were done, but she could also see that Jang Yuyan still had feelings for me. Under these circumstances, Song Baechin trying to tie Jang Yuyan down with a child was just asking for trouble. Moreover, considering her current state, Song's mother was worried about Jang Yuyan's mental health. But the biggest surprise was that Jang Yuyan actually agreed to the wedding. Remembering they were at the venue, Song's mother controlled her expression to look more natural. She watched as Father Jang pushed Jang Yuyan toward Baechin. There was zero happiness on Jang Yuyan's face. Just as Song's mother's face was turning dangerously sour, Song Baechin smoothed things over and pushed the wheelchair to stand before the priest. Due to her physical condition, many parts were cut, but the ring exchange was a must. The flower girl brought the rings. Jang Yuyan took the ring, and just as she was about to put it on Song Baechin, she froze while looking at the diamond. That was the ring she and I had picked out together for our wedding. The wedding was finally happening, but the groom wasn't me. Song Baechin held his hand out, his smile nearly cracking, only to hear her whisper a name. "Shi-an, will you marry me?" His smile vanished instantly, but with so many eyes on him, he could only muster a smile uglier than a crying face. He whispered a reminder, "Yuyan, it's time to exchange rings." Jang Yuyan snapped back to reality and slipped the ill-fitting ring onto his ring finger. I was close enough to see her zoning out. I found myself understanding Jang Yuyan less and less. Maybe it's true that what you can't have is always on your mind, while those loved take it for granted. When I still loved her, I never felt that love reflected in her reactions. She took my kindness for granted and saved her gentlest side for Song Baechin. Now that she got what she wanted, I left and she married Song Baechin. Who is she putting on this losing her true love act for? This made me think of the fortune I drew at the class reunion. Expectation leads to disappointment. Seeking nothing brings a full return. I was once so full of expectations to be with Jang Yuyan and build a home with her, but I was always the first person she gave up on. Eventually, my heart died. Marrying Su Ranran was partly out of spite and partly to put Grandpa's mind at ease. I thought we'd just be a polite, distant couple without any expectations. But Su Ranran gave me love in its fullest form. My fortune came true. What about Jang Yuyan's loss of her love? Based on her behavior now, it seems hers came true as well. But I don't think she loves me. Her feelings for me were more like a habit. She was used to me chasing after her, giving her everything she wanted without complaint or expectation. Now that I'm gone, she says she loves me? Who would believe that? I didn't finish watching the wedding. Halfway through, Su Ranran felt nauseous, so we left early. She thought it was just the crowd and the stuffy room, thinking a walk would fix it. But once outside, her vomiting got even worse. Even though she said she was fine, I was worried and took her to the hospital anyway. From the ER to the OB/GYN department. After being asked when her last period was, Su Ranran and I finally realized she was 2 weeks late. The doctor checked the records and asked about her cycle. Su Ranran and I finally realized the situation. She was half a month late. The doctor asked, "Has it ever been this late before?" Su Ranran shook her head. "It wasn't always perfectly regular, but it's never been this late." To be safe, Su Ranran went through a full checkup. When I got the lab result confirming she was 4 weeks pregnant, I asked in disbelief, "Are you really pregnant?" Su Ranran stood on her tiptoes and cupped my face. She gave me a deep kiss on the lips. She grinned from ear to ear. "Hubby, you're going to be a dad!" Her sudden kiss caught me off guard. After that, neither of us wanted to stay in Haicheng anymore. We immediately booked flights back to Nanchang. As soon as we landed, she told her parents the news. I went straight to my place to tell Grandpa the good news. The house was silent when I walked in. My happy shouting went unanswered. My heart skipped a beat as I rushed to open the bedroom door. I saw Grandpa collapse on the floor, unresponsive no matter how much I called his name. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone. First, I called an ambulance. Then I called Su Ranran. Grandpa collapsed. My voice shook as I managed only those words. The Su family rushed over immediately. When the ambulance arrived, we all went to the hospital together. Waiting outside the emergency room, Su Ranran held me and comforted me softly. Grandpa will be fine. Stay positive, or he'll just worry about you when he wakes up. The Sus felt guilty. They usually helped watch over him since he lived alone. Who knew this would happen after just one day? The red light above the operating room finally turned green, and the doctor stepped out. He was used to seeing family members having emotional breakdowns at these doors. The red light turned green, and the doctor emerged. Having seen so many families break down, he was completely unfazed by it. Luckily, he was brought in on time. The resuscitation was a success, but the old man is weak. He'll need to stay in the hospital for observation. Hearing this, my emotions finally began to settle. The Sus went to pay the fees. Su Ranran stayed with me as we went straight to the ward. Grandpa G woke up on the third day. He saw my guilt-ridden face and sighed. Grandpa's old and useless now. Just a little fall caused such a huge scene. I held the old man's wrinkled hand and shook my head firmly. You're not old, Grandpa. You're going to live a long, long time to raise your great-grandchild. Mentioning that finally gave the old man a bit of spirit. I'm going to be a great-grandfather? Then I really must work hard to stick around. Like Xi'an said, I need to see them born and raised. When Su Ranran was 7 months pregnant, my friend in Haicheng brought me the latest news. Zhang Yuyan had a miscarriage. A late-term miscarriage. They couldn't save the baby. She never liked Song Beichen. She only agreed to the wedding because of the pregnancy. But because of this loss, a spark of hope suddenly flared up in her heart again. Now that the baby was gone, and she hadn't given birth to another man's child, did that mean she could still seek my forgiveness? But the urgent priority was for her to divorce Song Beichen first. However, the more she rushed, the more things went against her. Song Beichen refused to divorce. Zhang Yuyan couldn't even file for a contested divorce, especially since her mobility was limited, and Song Beichen was actually treating her very well. So all she could do was wait. 6 months was far too long. While waiting, she heard the news that Su Ranran had given birth to my daughter. That day, she couldn't take it anymore and booked the first flight to Nancheng. By the time Zhang Yuyan reached Nancheng Hospital, it was already 8 p.m. When she appeared before me looking travel-worn, I almost didn't recognize her. It wasn't until she spoke in a raspy voice, calling my name, that I finally connected this haggard woman with the once famous Dr. Zhang of Haicheng's first hospital. I looked behind her and saw no one else. Did you come here all by yourself? Zhang Yuyan nodded. Since her amputation, she rarely left the house. She had snuck out just to see me. This was her first long-distance trip alone since becoming disabled, and she faced many troubles. But all her exhaustion vanished the moment she saw me. Though she was anxious, her eyes couldn't help but flicker with a glimmer of hope as she looked at me, saying the words of reconciliation she had kept suppressed for so long. Sha'an, I didn't have Song Beichen's baby. Can you forgive me now? As soon as the words left her mouth, her wheelchair was suddenly pulled back by a strong force, sliding backward uncontrollably. A clearly annoyed Su Ranran walked past her and sat down beside me. Ms. Jiang, in what capacity are you saying those words? The ex-girlfriend who betrayed Sha'an, Song Beichen's current wife? Or a shameless person trying to use a disability to farm for sympathy? Zhang Yuyan was stunned by her gaze and didn't know how to respond. Su Ranran didn't let her off despite her silence. Besides, trying to steal my man right in front of me? Did you forget Sha'an is married to me? Showing up late at night for what? What exactly are you trying to do by seeking out Xi'an at this hour? Trying to be a homewrecker? I had no idea the famous Dr. Jiang was a person of such low character. Then again, anyone who'd do IVF with another guy before her own wedding is capable of anything. Her face flushed with embarrassment. Seeing Su Ranran getting even harsher, she finally couldn't take it, and interrupted her with a pained expression. This is between me and Xi'an. What does it have to do with you? Su Ranran gave a cold snort and was about to fire back, but I spoke up first. You're acting very strange. Ranran is my wife. You're harassing her husband. How is that none of her business? One sentence, two completely different reactions. Su Ranran was instantly appeased and sat obediently by my side, savoring the fact that I called her wife. It wasn't often I called her that, let alone defended her publicly against a rival. For Zhang Yuyan, it was the opposite. All of Su Ranran's insults combined didn't hurt as much as my one act of favoritism. Zhang Yuyan's face went pale, her eyes full of disbelief. You're defending her? You actually... Her voice was interrupted by a baby's cry. She suddenly remembered why she had come here in the first place. The news she had heard, Su Ranran had given me a daughter. She finally realized what a foolish thing she had done and what stupid words she had said. Seeing how cold I was toward her, the moment the baby cried, I turned to pick up my daughter. I gently cooed to her until she fell back asleep. Once my daughter was soundly asleep again, I gently laid her down, then turned and told Jiang Yuyan to leave. You're not welcome here, Jiang Yuyan, just go. Jiang Yuyan left the hospital in a daze, her silhouette looking weak and pitiful. And waiting for her ahead was Song Beichen, standing stubbornly with a pale face. Seeing her come out, he forced a smile. Yuyan, I'm here to take you home. Back in the ward, Su Ranran's eyes didn't blink as she stared at our daughter's peaceful sleeping face, looking utterly content. I poked her shoulder. When she looked up in confusion, I whispered, Have you picked a name for her yet? She shook her head and said, No. I want Grandpa to pick her formal name with my parents. How about we pick the nickname? I thought about it and nodded, then asked what nickname she had in mind. Su Ranran shook her head again. My parents didn't like the names I picked. They said you should do it. Hearing that, I was actually curious about what name she had come up with. Her next words made me completely agree with her parents. Piggy, Sparkle, Yang Yang. I ignored her gaze that was practically begging for approval. Either animals or just shiny objects? If we call her that, our daughter will probably have an identity crisis for years. I made the final call. Let's call her Nanan. I wasn't great at names either, but at least Nanan was a safe bet. The next day, the nickname Nanan was officially decided. Grandpa's health had been improving lately. Hearing that he got to name his great-granddaughter made him overjoyed. He stayed up all night searching through books and came up with the name, Ji Jingxin, as pure as fine jade with a heart for great ambitions. I really liked that name. Nobody mentioned what happened the night before. After all, the past is best left in the past. People always have to look forward.